You know, there is a point that I want to get to, and I'm just going to say it. As I said before, I always have to overcome my little fears or anxieties about saying things. Because, I actually am very shy and nervous about stuff. But what is important is this. That sometimes you got to think higher than just the rig. You do have to kind of transcend your day-to-day world and think a little bit higher. I think the problem is that, it's like when I actually applaud the people who work toward trying to make the environment better. I mean, really, in every way you can think of environment, like trying to, so that we don't wind up suffering a million years into the future. Yes, you got to think beyond today, even beyond your lifetime. Think about the future. Think about future generations. Think about what you're leaving other people. But not only that about the future, but even in expanding, even in this plane of being, of doing better, helping other people. See, one of the things that always gave me a lot of joy was doing things for others. I used to do volunteer work at Cook County Hospital. For 4 years I worked as a translator, as a volunteer. And I did that. And I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed doing that. It was one of the things that made me feel so good knowing I was helping people. And it felt good. It felt good. And I know a lot of times, where every place they send me to work, I always do things to try to help make the environment a little bit better for other people. I make coffee every day. And, other people have coffee clubs where you have to put money in. I don't do that. I mean, people want to give me stuff, but sometimes I feel I don't want anything. I like giving. And I really want to encourage that in other people. Because, when I was young, someone did that for me. I grew up in a very, very poor neighborhood. Very poor, very crime-infested neighborhood. And one of my teachers took care of me. She talked with my mother and asked if she could, basically help take care of me. Basically, she helped to raise me. She was my second grade teacher. This is way back in the late 60s. Like 1967, I think, when I was first in that class. I was a little kid. And, but this teacher really helped me and taught me a lot of things and actually took me traveling. It's an opportunity I never would have had any other way. I had a chance to travel out to California, to Arizona. I lived here in Chicago. I always lived in Chicago all my life. But I had a chance to travel, and I remember back in 1969, the first time I ever went on an airplane, in 1969, I was 9 years old, and going to Niagara Falls, went to Buffalo, New York, to visit some of my relatives. And I remember back then flying on a 727. I don't even think that plane even exists anymore. There are probably some still around. The Boeing 727. And I remember going to Niagara Falls. This is an interesting thing. Niagara Falls, the falls actually, this is just a little side note, the falls actually wasn't working. Believe it or not. This is something you can look it up. The Army Corps of Engineers actually blocked off the water going over the falls. Horseshoe Falls, I remember that, was still running, but the regular Niagara Falls wasn't. It was the only time they ever did it. I guess they had to check how the erosion of the water going over the thing was doing or something. How they did it was a great engineering feat to do that, but they did it in 1969. So that was kind of a weird thing. But anyway, that's not my point. My point is that sometimes in life, you get a chance to get outside of an environment and see a different world. And I had a chance to do that. It was a rare sort of thing, When in 1970, I went to Japan. She took me to Japan. It was the first time I've ever been outside the U.S. And I went to the World's Fair in Osaka, Japan. And, that kind of just set this interest in my mind of traveling. So ever since then, I've always loved to travel. And recently I had chances to travel all over the place. And I went back to Japan in 2004. Even went to Hiroshima. That was interesting. So, it's just interesting how things are. You know, you need to expand your thinking. I mean, I had an opportunity, but I learned to try to give that to other people, to do for others what was done for me, to help other people. Because to me, that's something that's just, it's like it's a seed planted in my mind to give without asking for anything in return. That's something I always thought was very important. I just felt like I had to say that, you know. And that's what my whole channel was about. Giving. Just giving and doing it. You know, that's what it's all about.